Welcome back to Life with the Spectrum. I'm your host, Gina Cavalli. I'm going to say one word and tell me what you immediately think of. Emory. You think of the hospital, right? Well, Emory is much more than a hospital. It's a university, it's an autism research center, and it's right here in Atlanta, Georgia. And with 80 different majors, 60 minors, and 10 professional programs that kiddos can go through, we would be remiss not to mention Emory Oaks, which is fairly new to the Emory University system for kids on the spectrum who are going all the way, undergraduate, graduate, and then getting their doctorate. With me today, Dr. Matthew Segall, assistant professor at the Emory Autism Center and director of Emory Oaks. Hi, Matt. How you doing?
Good, Gina. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm so happy that you're on the show. Tell everybody what Emory Oaks is.
So Emory Oaks is a college autism support program. So if you are a student at Emory University and you are on the autism spectrum, you can come to Emory Oaks and we are going to support you in having a really awesome college experience. I'm guessing that you and your viewers have some sense that college is not the easiest thing for our autistic students. Years ago, we started building out what's now Emory Oaks so that our students here at Emory can get the supports that they need so they can have a really great experience. They're here on their own academic merit. They belong here. They deserve to have an amazing experience, and we help them along the way. We call our program, or kind of our program of supports, support navigation. So students come to us and they meet with one of our staff members. Sometimes it's me, sometimes it's my colleague Kelsey. Most of the time it's my colleague Kelsey. And we're going to learn all about why you're here at Emory, your gifts, your interests, your talents, and the goals that you have. And we're going to take those goals and figure out what are the different ways that we're going to meet those goals. And then partner with students and help them get connected to the resources and supports on campus that are going to allow them to achieve those goals.
Do you also kind of put a little hyper focus with Emory Oaks on like executive functioning skills, where we know a lot of kids have deficiencies in them, and that can actually prevent them from succeeding in school, in jobs, in life? Is that kind of something that you pinpoint there at Emory Oaks too?
Absolutely. So when it comes to executive functioning skills, I think I agree, very, very important, and sometimes can be sort of a true barrier and hurdle that students experience that prevent successful outcomes and so on. But it can also be really complicated, right? So sometimes for students, the executive functioning skills are really intertwined with anxiety. Sometimes the executive functioning skills and issues are really intertwined with social engagement and the ability to connect with peers, whether it's from like an accountability standpoint or just a community standpoint. So we keep all of that on our radar. In addition, at Emory, we have a wonderful office here called our Office for Undergraduate Education. And that office offers a resource called academic coaching, which in our sort of community supports language, which sort of translates to executive functioning coaching. And so one of the things that we do in Emory Oaks is, one, we have a really, really great relationship with that office, and we make sure that when we are sending students their way, that they're going to be well received, kind of swooped in and hugged and joined the village and all of that jazz. But also, if that office ever needs sort of training and support and consultation from us about how to best support the autistic learners and neurodivergent learners that they're working with, we're available for that sort of training and consultation and support as well. And then any time that we're doing our support navigation in those meetings with our students, almost always we're either modeling executive functioning strategies, or we are sharing out different ideas that will help students and support them in that way. So we
the organization of it all.
Yeah, we try to tackle it from a number of different angles with things, but we also our students are amazing here, even with the executive functioning challenges that they experience. In general, I think a lot of what we see are executive functioning challenges that all young adults and folks in their late teens and early 20s tend to experience. And so there's sort of a learning curve for everybody that's at that age and stage of life. And what I'm really proud of with Emory Oaks is that we see that, but we also see the developmental nature of autism in the mix with things. And we try our very best to create sort of a supportive and safe environment for folks to learn, for folks to fail or not succeed at times, but to do it in a safe way that allows them to kind of keep learning and keep growing, just the way that all of our folks in college do.
Matt, how many kids have you seen come through the Emory Oaks program successfully graduate, and how many kids do you currently have in the program now?
So the program in its kind of full operation of things is fairly new. We were able to kind of fully launch in 2021. So we've now had two graduating cohorts, and we're about to start our third full year. Before 2021, we were kind of providing some of these supports, but sort of in a less like staffed and programmatic way, and so on. So at this point, from 2021 onward, we've had, I think it's 15 students that have graduated. They've graduated with clear plans for next steps. A lot of our students go on to graduate school or additional professional school and so on, and others like might be taking a gap year, but a gap year that's sort of like a paid internship type of gap year and things like that. Generally speaking, from semester to semester, we're supporting about 24 students.
Oh, that's great.
I'm not sure that we knew kind of at the very, very front end just what our capacity was going to be. So these last couple of years have really helped us learn. But that seems to be about the range, 20 to 25 students, closer to 25 usually, and sometimes a little bit more. And that's about what we're anticipating for the fall semester. And now already in our short time span, we're already looking at wait lists and the need to add another staff person to our program, which is very exciting, a bit overwhelming, because we don't just get to just like wave our magic wand and hire new people all the time. But we're working on it. And we're really excited about the growth.
And when we get back with Dr. Matt, assistant professor at Emory Autism Center, we're going to find out what's ahead for Emory Oaks. Stay with me. Welcome back to Life with the Spectrum. I'm your host, Gina Cavalli. Thank you so much for coming back and joining us week after week. With me today, Dr. Matthew Segall, the assistant professor at Emory Autism Center, as well as the director of the Emory Oaks program within Emory University. And, you know, you mentioned something about like career building, and I wanted to quickly go back and touch on that because what I see and speak with a lot of parents is that their kids will go to college. They'll go all the way. And then they have a really hard time finding that employment and keeping that employment for whatever reason. Pick a reason, any reason. And I wanted to know, when you had mentioned the career building and the career leadership within Emory Oaks, do you follow that graduate and just check in, you know, every 3 months, like, hey, Bob, how you doing? You still got that graduate degree and you still working at XYZ? Like, how does that work?
I love that question, Gina. Thank you so much for asking. We are building that ship as we're sailing it right now.
Okay.
Again, being so new, we just didn't really know what this was going to look like in terms of how many graduates and so on. Just to kind of like pull back the curtain for the audience a little bit. When you run a program with no funding and it's not all programmatic and so on, you take who comes your way. And so in those years before we fully launched the program, a lot of the time students were coming to us that had really, really struggled here at Emory, or even at other universities in the Atlanta area. Now that we're like staffed and programmatic and kind of can receive referrals and students from a different direction, students are coming to us before their struggles and problems, which is exactly what we want to see and exactly how we want to see it. And the big game changer with that is that when folks come to you before there's struggles, they come to you younger and kind of earlier on in their college career. Most of the time, what we were getting as far as referrals previously was students in their junior year or maybe even their senior year, kind of a little bit farther down the line. And so claiming any impact of Emory Oaks for those students really wasn't terribly authentic, but also it's not quite the right amount of time in the right relationship to really kind of like look at tracking outcomes there and so on. So really in like the early stages now of working with students and sort of at kind of a over time journey to really start to think about what you were just asking about in terms of tracking outcomes after graduation and the like with things. So as I mentioned, we're building that as we're moving along. Last year was our first year kind of having a graduated cohort with students that we had worked with for a very short time, and we've kept in touch with those students, or keeping in touch with them. This summer we're reaching out to them and kind of tracking different outcomes. But like, for example, one of our students, actually these would be two kind of similar examples. One of our students was taking a gap year with a paid job with the intention to go to medical school.
Okay.
He will be attending medical school this fall. We kept in touch and learned that. And then we have another student who decided to do a public health program in between graduating Emory and then probably going on to medical school. And so I've been in touch with that student as well, and they've done well in their public health program. And I got a recent message that I should be hearing some news soon. So it was a little bit of like a teaser type of email, which
Right.
was really fun and exciting to see. But that student also aspires to be a physician as well. And so right now we're putting together some of those like post-graduation outcomes from the folks that graduated in May of 2023. Obviously, for folks that just graduated this past May, they're enjoying their summer and will be off to their next thing soon. But to come back to like the biggest picture of what you're asking about, yes, we're going to be tracking our students and their outcomes there. And yes, the long game really is to create essentially what will be an alumni network for Emory
Yes.
Oaks.
Yes.
So that one, our alumni can mentor and support current students, both from like a life skills mentoring and a sort of social mentoring, but also we get lots of common career paths with things. So like our folks that have gone off to medical school, our pre-med students can connect with those alumni graduates as well. But also, as you were referencing, not everything always goes peachy keen and super smooth with things. And so we're going to learn over time what some of the particular hurdles that our students experience, so that we can either build out future programming or maybe connect with the places that our students are finding themselves, whatever it might be. And you were mentioning that it can be sort of like for a whole host of different reasons why sort of the post-graduation employment or life outcomes don't quite go the way that we want them to. I think in those conversations we're aware that sometimes folks can get jobs, but then they don't keep jobs because of either the executive functioning skills matter that you mentioned earlier or some of the kind of like workplace social navigation and hidden rules and things like that. So at the moment, like we don't have any kind of like upskilling program stuff built into our program to get ahead of those things. But I think as we learn about the degree to which like our students are interested in that or our alumni is interested in that, we'll build those in. And then also, Gina, I know you're aware of this. There's also so many great cooks in the kitchen, for that matter, all around the nation and world and so on, that have created different resources for folks to access. So I think a big role that we're going to play too is helping our alumni connect to additional employment, maintenance or acquisition resources or whatever it might be. And the last thing I'll mention is that at Emory we have a really fabulous new kind of employment and career pathways leader that got here within the last year and a half and so on. And he has this really beautiful vision for a really robust and inclusive career development model here at Emory. And so Emory Oaks is also going to partner with the Emory Pathways Center and make sure that not just our career center, but all the different entities that are part of the Pathways Center, that we're all kind of pulling the rope in the same direction and making sure that our students are graduating as well prepared for the working world and kind of the job seeking world as they can, or even, as I mentioned, like even graduate school and additional kind of professional career learning. And you know, we're open to figuring out like where the holes and the gaps are along the way and doing our best to fill them.
If there's one thing that you would like to bring, now that you've been doing it for, 3, 4 years now, what's the one thing that you are really excited about for Emory Oaks? Like, what do you envision? What's that one thing that you're like, we're going to make this happen?
Yeah, I keep sort of like a medium-sized list of those ideas. There's a lot of things that will add and build to the program over time. I think the thing that I find to be like most exciting is the idea about leadership development. I really want to see our students be able to think of themselves as future leaders or as current
Yes.
leaders,
Hmm.
and thinking about what they need to experience, to learn, to receive mentoring and advising and things like that, so that they feel empowered in that way when they exit Emory. So in my career and on my team, we have different advisory boards for things, and we've welcomed autistic members to those advisory boards. I also advise an autism focused student group here at Emory and do some advising there. So over time, and Emory itself has a whole array of different sort of like structured leadership programs that students can opt into. And I think so. One of the ideas that I think we're going to see part of Emory Oaks down the line is a tried and true leadership curriculum with different leadership experiences, and a sort of a whole network of that will then tie into the alumni network as well.
Yeah, it's not just about autism awareness anymore. I think we're all aware that autism is out there. It's really about autism acceptance. And there are the brightest minds out there that have ASD, and they can be leaders. And we need to do everything we can to foster that so that they can go out there and advocate for the next generation, after them. I love that. Dr. Matt, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And really quick, how can people find you?
So if you Google Emory Oaks, you're gonna get right to our website. It's sort of a convoluted website name right now that I wouldn't even be able to share with everybody. But we're gonna get to a decent vanity one real soon. But also by email. Email's quite fine, and we do have a nice easy vanity email. It's Oaks OAKS at emory.edu.
Thank you again, Matt, for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Sounds like through support navigation, executive functioning coaching, academic help, and more, Emory Oaks might just be the place where your child ends up going to school. Again, 80 different majors, 60 minors, and 10 different professional programs to go through at Emory University. Emory Oaks is one of the leading programs here in the Southeast, as well as the Emory Autism Center in general, right? It's one of the biggest here in the Southeast. So it was nice to have Dr. Matt on. Yeah, thank you so much for checking out Life with the Spectrum week after week. And I know it's been a nice long holiday weekend. Thank you again for coming back and checking it out. And if you know of somebody I need to be talking to in the world of autism, please put a comment below or DM me or reach out to gcast.com. That's GKASTS.com. Till next week, we live life with the spectrum. See ya. Bye.